Coming up on Arirang News. The death toll from the devastating Turkey and Syria earthquakes tops 21,000. Tens of thousands more are injured. Rescue workers from around the world are doing what they can to reach survivors despite the freezing temperatures and lack of resources. With the COVID-19 situation improving in China, South Korea is lifting its short-term visa curbs on Chinese travelers starting tomorrow. Beijing is also considering a similar move for those arriving from South Korea. South Korea strikes its first independent sanctions on North Korea in response to the regime's illegal cyber activities. Those blacklisted allegedly helped the funding of Pyongyang's nuclear and missile programs. Hello, it's 9 p.m. here in South Korea. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. We begin with the latest in Turkey and Syria following the devastating earthquakes earlier this week. The number of deaths there has topped 21,000 with tens of thousands injured. Rescue operations are underway, but there are warnings that the number of losses could rise even further. Shin Ha-young leads our coverage tonight. The death toll now stands at over 21,000 after the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria, putting them in the top 10 deadliest quakes of the past 2 decades. According to the Turkish Disaster and Emergency Management Authority, the number of deaths in the country has risen to over 18,000 with more than 74,000 injured. Syria has confirmed at least 3,300 dead. As the death toll rises, the United States Geological Survey on Friday raised its casualty outlook once again. According to its report, the probability of the death toll exceeding 100,000 is now 24%, which is 10 percentage points higher than it was 2 days ago. The USGS also raised the probability of the death toll coming in lower than 100,000 to 35% from the previous 30%. Rescue operations continue, though the so-called golden time for survival of 72 hours since the first quake has passed. However, according to the New York Times, residents of Syria are expressing frustration because the aid, they say, was too little and too late. The aid from the United Nations arrived at Syria on the 4th day since the quake hit, but people are saying it did not include urgently needed supplies of food and daily necessities. In Syria, footage showed a 3-year-old boy rescued from the rubble some 42 hours after the quake destroyed his home and killed his family.
Today, Tariq was saved and thank God he is now alive and in intensive care, but first he risks losing both of his legs. And second, there are many children like him under the rubble who have still not been found because there is no way to get to them.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization estimates that the quakes have affected around 23 million people in Turkey and Syria. It also warned things could get worse due to a secondary health crisis caused by freezing cold temperatures and hunger. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News. Desperate search and rescue operations for survivors are underway in Turkey and Syria amid harsh weather conditions. The so-called golden 72-hour period after the earthquake has passed, but rescue workers, including the South Korean team, continue their work, hoping to save more lives. Our foreign affairs correspondent, Bae Eun-ji, reports.
More than 100 South Korean relief personnel continue to look for survivors in Turkey's southernmost region of Antakya, joining the international community's efforts to save as many lives as possible. The South Korean team, which has been in the region since the early hours of Thursday, rescued a total of 5 survivors on the first day of its operation. They included a 2-year-old girl and her 40-year-old father, as well as a 35-year-old woman, a 10-year-old girl, and a man in his mid-70s. Mostly consisting of military personnel and firefighters, the team will continue their operation in Turkey until February 17th. So far, they have not found any more survivors, but there is still hope. CNN reports that a 10-year-old girl was found alive under the rubble about 90 hours after the earthquake. Also, a video posted on Twitter by Ankara's mayor on Thursday local time showed a 3-year-old child being pulled from the rubble of a destroyed building. The mayor said the boy was rescued 83 hours after the quake hit on Monday. Over in Syria, the White Helmets, a collective of volunteers working to provide aid in the aftermath of the earthquake, have been working non-stop for more than 90 hours in what they've called very difficult circumstances. Most recently, they rescued 2 girls from under the debris of a collapsed building in northern Syria by digging through rubble with their bare hands. With the freezing temperatures and snow, the World Health Organization warns survivors of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria could face a secondary disaster, as hundreds of thousands of people are forced to live without shelter. 배은지, Arirang News.
The World Bank is offering close to $2 billion to assist in Turkey's relief and recovery. The Washington-based lender said Thursday that it's going to provide $780 million right away to help rebuild basic municipal-level infrastructure, while preparing an extra $1 billion to help provide relief for those affected. Building on its experience in disaster risk management, the World Bank has also started assessing the magnitude of the disaster. With the COVID-19 situation settling down in China, South Korea is ending its short-term visa curbs for travelers coming in from that country starting tomorrow. Choi Soo-hyung has more.
The Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency announced Friday morning that South Korea will resume issuing short-term visas for travelers from China starting this Saturday, February 11th. It's been 40 days since the government stopped issuing them because of China's huge wave of COVID-19. With the wave subsiding, however, the measures are ending early, having originally been planned until the end of the month. Last week, the rate of infection among travelers arriving in South Korea from China fell to 1.4%. In January, it had averaged almost 22%.
The PCR positivity rate from China has not gone up again since the Lunar New Year holiday. We will continue to test proactively for COVID and manage those from abroad who are infected.
Although the government is going to resume the issuance of short-term visas for China, it's going to keep the rules on testing and other measures. These include the need for passengers in China bound for Korea to provide a negative PCR test and register under Quarantine Information Pre-Entry System or Q-Code. There will also continue to be a reduction in the number of flights from China. Late last month, however, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo said these measures too could be phased out sooner than planned.
If the number of confirmed cases remain under control, we may consider lifting these measures before February 28th.
On that issue, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said on Friday that it will continue to communicate closely with Beijing. In response for its part, Beijing said it will actively consider lifting its own restrictions on short-term visas for Korean nationals. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
Seoul strikes its very first independent sanctions on Pyongyang for carrying out cyber attacks and stealing cryptocurrency. They come as North Korea is widely accused of conducting illegal cyber activities to fund its nuclear and missile programs. Choi Min-jung reports.
South Korea has sanctioned North Korea over its illicit cyber activities. The government revealed the specific targets on Friday: 4 individuals and 7 hacking groups. These are the first sanctions independently placed by Seoul on Pyongyang for illegal cyber activities. The 4 individuals on the list are either part of North Korea's military intelligence agency, weapons program, or its defense ministry. The 7 entities are guilty of stealing virtual assets through cyber attacks and training cyber experts. North Korea's major hacking group, the Lazarus Group, is included in the list. The sanctions are largely symbolic as financial dealings between the two Koreas are very limited. But they would mean that anyone in the South wanting to do any type of business with the individuals or groups requires permission from the Chief of the Bank of Korea or the Financial Services Commission. Those making transactions or trading virtual assets without a permit can be punished under relevant laws. Seoul sanctions are timely as North Korea allegedly continues to advance its cyber theft techniques.
North Korea is investing a significant portion of its funds stolen through cyber attacks into developing nuclear missiles and is threatening us with preemptive nuclear strikes and various forms of provocations.
Seoul's foreign ministry says North Korea's cryptocurrency heists have helped pay for around 30% of the regime's missile development costs. Pyongyang has stolen over $1.2 billion worth of cryptocurrency since 2017. Approximately $626 million were stolen last year alone, the largest amount in a single year. The sanctions by Seoul are expected to send a strong message and raise global awareness of the gravity of North Korea's cyber provocations. This is the third independent sanction slapped on the regime by Seoul since President Yoon took office. Last year, sanctions were imposed on North Koreans involved in the development of nuclear weapons and missiles and evading sanctions. Choi Min-dong, Arirang News.
Over in the U.S., analysis is underway by authorities there of the Chinese balloon that they shut down in their territory last Saturday. Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation has begun its investigation into China's alleged spy balloon that was shot down last Saturday. According to a senior FBI official on Thursday, so far, the balloon canopy, wires, and a small number of electronic components have been secured, but it's too early to tell the function of the balloon or China's true intent in sending it. Investigators added the lower structure of the balloon, which is presumably equipped with most of the electronic devices, such as monitoring equipment, has not yet been secured. A large part of the wreckage, including the substructure, is still under the water, and the removal operation was temporarily suspended because of high waves. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department said Thursday that China has sent reconnaissance balloons to more than 40 countries around the world to gather intelligence, and the Chinese military is likely the source. The department added that the recently shot down balloon was equipped with an antenna that could collect communication signals and determine its geographic location. The balloon is also said to be equipped with solar panels capable of generating power to operate multiple intelligence gathering sensors. In response, Melissa Dalton, the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Homeland Defense and Hemispheric Affairs, was asked at a Senate Appropriation Committee hearing on Wednesday whether it would be necessary to invest in a new system to protect the United States from such reconnaissance balloons. Dalton responded that while in the near term the U.S. is bolstering its security system with the cooperation of Canada, in the long term, investment is needed to further improve the current U.S. system. On Thursday, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a resolution condemning China's use of the suspected spy balloon. The resolution passed unanimously and serves as a symbolic rebuke of the Chinese government, but is, however, not legally binding legislatively. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Now turning to the situation in Ukraine. Russia is on the offensive in Ukraine's eastern Luhansk region. According to Serhiy Haidai, head of the Luhansk Region Military Administration, an escalation has already begun, and this is likely part of the full-scale offensive Russia has been planning. Western governments believe Russia is planning a major assault on Ukraine before February 24th, the one-year anniversary of the war. Ukrainian officials also say that Russian shelling appears to be increasing in parts of the Kharkiv region recaptured by Ukraine last September. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol says it's important for the central government to give some of its powers to local governments to foster growth in areas outside the Seoul capital region. This comes amid a steep decline in the populations in those parts of the country.
정부는 진정한 지방 시대를 열기 위해 중앙의 권한을 과감하게 이양하고 지역 스스로 비교 우위가 있는 성장 동력을 발굴하고 키워나갈 수 있도록 지원하겠습니다.
This came on Friday as the president chaired a meeting at Jeollabuk-do provincial office in Jeonju on cooperation between central and local governments. Also discussed were ways to reshape the financial support structure for local governments. Afterward, Yoon went to the nearby Kunsan shipyard to attend a sending ceremony for an item needed in the production of ships. It was being sent to Ulsan, where Hyundai Heavy Industries is located. The shipyard in Kunsan had been closed since 2017, but reopened last October. There he again emphasized the importance of economic opportunities for the growth of areas outside the capital region. Prosecutors are currently probing the leader of South Korea's main opposition Democratic Party of Korea, Lee Jae-myung, in another round of questioning on corruption allegations. Lee is under suspicion of corruption and breach of trust in the process of either directly or indirectly approving dubious arrangements in connection to property development projects launched while Lee was serving as mayor of Seongnam City. Before entering the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's office late this morning, he once again attacked the Yoon Suk-yeol administration and accused the prosecution of fabricating charges against him. The prosecution has prepared more than 200 pages of questions to which he said he'll substitute his answers with an already prepared written statement, keeping his speech to a minimum. Today's probe marks the third time he's been summoned by prosecutors this year, including when the opposition leader was questioned by the Seongnam branch of the Suwon District's office earlier last month over bribery allegations involving Seongnam Football Club. It has become quite common these days to see K-pop stars serving as ambassadors of luxury brands. We're now even seeing rookie artists working with some high-end fashion labels. Our Song Yu-jin takes a closer look at this trend and the reasons behind it.
K-pop stars are no longer just sweeping music charts and trophies. They've become front and center of the fashion industry. It's no longer a question of whether we'll see K-pop artists sitting on the front row of fashion shows as the faces of luxury brands. It's now who will be the next to do so. This is, of course, thanks to the K-pop boom that erupted in the 2010s, as well as other breakout K-content like Squid Game and Parasite. And the artists themselves have just the right mix of skills that brands are looking for.
I think the fact that these K-pop stars are musical talented, digitally savvy, fashion icons, I think they have the perfect mix that consumers are looking for. And because they're able to identify with consumers everywhere.
K-pop stars these days actively interact with their fans. This has strengthened the bond between them, making fans want to follow what their celebrities do and wear even more.
At last season's Paris Fashion Week, Dior ranked #1 of all shows in terms of media impact value, a term that assigns a dollar value to every post, interaction, or article regarding the event. 10% of Dior's media impact value was from Korean stars. The growing domestic market is another reason why mega brands are seeking K-pop partnerships. A report by financial services company Morgan Stanley shows Koreans were the world's biggest spenders on personal luxury goods per capita last year. K-pop artists are also a great partner for brands looking to expand their customer base.
To reach this younger generation, you need something fresh and new and different and innovative. And I think, this younger generation cares a lot about authenticity, and K-pop stars just feel authentic because they're fun. They're, like I said, they're fashionable.
And experts say we'll continue to see more brands join hands with K-pop acts.
Luxury brands are searching for new hotbeds. East Asia, where K-pop is sensational, is one such region. These companies will want to expand their influence in the region by discovering and collaborating with more Korean artists.
Drawing big crowds and generating an online buzz, Korean talents are becoming one of the most important celebrity voices in fashion. Song Yu-jin, Arirang News.
There has been a substantial shift in power dynamics in the entertainment industry as BTS agency HYBE becomes the biggest shareholder of K-pop rival SM Entertainment. Yoon with more.
HYBE is the Korean entertainment agency behind global K-pop phenomenon BTS. On Friday, the agency was officially confirmed to be acquiring a 14.8% stake in its rival K-pop agency SM Entertainment by signing a deal with SM's founder Lee Soo-man. Lee sold 14.8% of his 18.46% holdings. The deal would make HYBE the largest shareholder. SM Entertainment is one of the country's top K-pop agencies behind big-name groups like EXO, Red Velvet, NCT, and aespa. The latest move creates a new monster K-pop power that will be taking K-pop to new heights. Earlier this week on Tuesday, Kakao struck a deal with SM Entertainment to acquire a 9.05% stake. But HYBE's $334.3 million deal with founder and longtime producer Lee Soo-man was the single move making HYBE the new top stakeholder. HYBE called this latest deal a game changer for the impact K-pop will have in the global music industry. SM Entertainment was behind the first-generation Hallyu stars like HOT and BoA, and by becoming their biggest shareholder, HYBE hopes to take global recognition of K-pop to new heights. On Thursday, HYBE's American unit signed a deal to acquire a 100% stake in QC Media Holdings, the parent company of an influential US-based hip-hop label, Quality Control Music. As HYBE expands its global business portfolio, its jump into the global market is also expected to reach even more fans. 이은진, Arirang News.
K-pop girl group Blackpink have added another Mexico City date to their world tour after tickets for the concert there this April sold out. The band's label YG Entertainment announced on Friday that Blackpink will now play Mexico City on April 26th and 27th. They'll also be the first K-pop girl group ever to perform at the Foro Sol Stadium, where over 100,000 fans are expected across the two shows. The group will resume the Asia leg for their tour next month and are set to headline the upcoming Coachella Music and Arts Festival in California in April. In line with broader efforts to better protect manual laborers, a robot has been developed to undertake potentially dangerous tasks at construction sites. Jo Sung-min has the details.
A four-legged robot is crawling up a steel wall. It goes around any obstacles in its path and also crosses over low structures with ease. It can also walk across the ceiling hanging upside down. Developers of this robot say it can move as fast as 70 centimeters per second on a vertical wall and 50 centimeters per second when hanging on the wall. The secret to its wall-crawling ability is a special magnet and rubber material attached to the bottom of its 4 feet.
The magnetic feature must be turned on and off flexibly as its legs are taken off the ground, so we developed a magnet that can perform this function instantly.
The 8-kilogram robot can withstand a force 5 times heavier than its weight. It can also easily climb the walls carrying a load as heavy as 3 kilograms. The developers say the robots will further improve safety for workers at construction sites, replacing manual tasks in welding, inspecting structures, cleaning high poles and skyscrapers, and more. Jo Sung-min, Arirang News.
Mild conditions will continue for this weekend with temperatures hovering around the seasonal average. Seoul will be starting off at -1 degree for both Saturday and Sunday. And daytime conditions will get significantly warmer, so do expect wide temperature gaps of more than 10 degrees. For southern regions and Jeju Island, brief showers are expected on Sunday. And expect fine dust concentrations to stay high for this weekend. Tomorrow for parts of central regions, including here in the Seoul metropolitan area and Chungcheong-do province, air quality will stand in the bad category for the morning and the evening hours. On Sunday, expect more dust particles to filter in from overseas and higher fine dust concentrations are expected. Make sure to wear a mask that can filter out the dust particles such as KF94. Tomorrow, Seoul will be starting off at -1 degree and Gyeongju at -2 degrees Celsius. Expect daytime highs to jump significantly. Highs in Seoul will get up to 9 degrees, Gwangju 11, Gyeongju and Busan will be topping out at 13 degrees. And next week, frequent snowfalls in the forecast for Gangwon-do province. That's all for now, and here are the weather conditions around the world.
That brings us to the end of this newscast. Thank you for watching. Hope everyone stays strong, warm, and safe. Good night.